Hope your Wednesday is off to a good start with Central Georgia. I'm meteorologist Alex Pry here. We are going to go take a look at your forecast in depth. So going to go a little bit longer than you typically see me throughout the morning shows. This kind of serving as your one-stop shop each and every morning at 10:30 to provide you with a look at what's in store for your week ahead. So in case you missed it, our confirmed tornado from Sunday, we did give you the information on this yesterday, but it was confirmed as an EF1 tornado possessing winds as strong as 90 miles per hour in Bibb and Twiggs County. It was on the ground for a near 8 miles as it touched down right here in this little notch of Twiggs County. This is going to be in the northwestern portion of the county. Barely crossed into the southeast portion of Bibb County. You see this is east of the Rutland area in South Bibb County. It touched down somewhere in the Bond Swamp area, crossed over Highway 23, the Sagoda Road area, and eventually crossed I-16 before continuing its path in its entirety through the northwestern portion of Twiggs County. It did finally dissipate just about 8 miles where it did first touch down, just north of the Dry Branch area. And we're going to go into more details with that throughout our shows that we do have today. David Guerrero will be providing some local areas and some specific locations where this path did go through. So you do see this big tab at the bottom. Rating is preliminary, and that is still the guidance we've had from the National Weather Service. They haven't officially confirmed all the specific details with this. However, they have told us that they don't expect many significant changes with this, maybe a little bit longer of a path length, maybe a little bit shorter of a path length, maybe just kind of tweaking the exact path that this storm did take. But right now we are awaiting official confirmation. We'll probably get that sometime today or into tomorrow. So taking a look at your 2025 rainfall graphic, that was the other talking point with the storms we had Sunday and continuing into Monday. They dumped a lot of rain on areas up to the northwest and really all of central Georgia. So what it did put us well above average for the month of April in rainfall. Obviously, we just got the month started. However, we have been very below average so far this year. January and February were very dry months with about an inch and a half of rain that we were below average in January and nearly 2 inches in February that we were below average. Well, finally March, we got a system on the very last day that did put us above average, only about 4/10 of an inch in terms of rainfall. And this system in early April on Sunday and Monday put us well above average for the month of April so far. And right now we're only hovering about 3/10 of an inch of rain below average. And this is a drastic difference because many times I've been showing this on my weekly weekend weather forecast. We've been hovering around 3 to 3.5 inches below average for this time of year. So it's good to kind of get back on pace, get back up to par in terms of our rainfall here in Macon. But it did dump a bunch of rain, and that rain does go down into the rivers. So still have above normal river water levels along the Ocmulgee, starting up in maybe the portion of Jones County and Bibb County, going all the way through Bibb County. So the downtown Macon area, you can definitely see the high river levels, and continuing to where the Ocmulgee goes down into Twiggs in northeastern Houston County. Very similar area right here to where we were just talking about that touchdown with the confirmed tornado. And the Oconee does have above normal river water levels along Washington and Wilkinson, and where those two counties kind of come into the intersection with Johnson County and northern Lawrence County. So no flood warnings on the Flint River to talk about anymore. No flood warnings farther up to the north or farther down to the south. We'll continue to keep you updated where those river water levels are a little bit higher. So now going back to yesterday. Yesterday we hit a high of 70 degrees here in Macon with a low of 45 to kick us off on Tuesday morning. We fell below average for the high temperature and below average for that low temperature. So it was a pretty chilly morning, but still kind of a cooler day with a high temperature of 70. And then you do see that year departure of rain I was just showing you on the map. However, we haven't been talking about this record box right here on the almanac since last week, which is very good news, and haven't had any temperatures that are flirting with those record highs near 90 degrees like we had for a spell of about 4 or 5 days last week. And thankfully it is not 2007 and we did not dip down below freezing temperature this morning. Also want to note the sunrise and sunset times. My computer is a little bit in the way, so we'll scoot that out of the way just a second. Sunrise time at 7:13, so sunrise is continuing to get earlier and earlier as the days will get longer until the beginning of summer. 7:13 was our sunrise yesterday morning. Our sunset, first 8 p.m. sunset that we've had, so that sunset will continue to get later and later, eventually start to flirt with the 9 o'clock hour as we enter the summertime months. So here's a look at our sky cam. I'm going to change this up a bit because our image is a little bit too bright down in Warner Robins. We've got to do some tinkering with this image, giving you an idea of the sunny skies that we do have in place. However, not necessarily this bright when you do walk outside. This is a good day for some sunglasses, I will say. The sunny skies are continuing after we did have them in place yesterday. Let's pop it over to the Macon sky cam. This will give you a better image. There you go. Clear blue sky is what you're actually walking out to, not that very bright sunshine drowning out the image, and not even a single cloud in the sky that we can see in the downtown Macon area at this hour. Temperatures are right now somewhere in the low to mid 50s, some areas in the upper 50s. Areas farther to the east have been trending warmer after a very chilly morning, and that's kind of just due to the flow that we're seeing, a little bit more moisture present, some warmer air over in the eastern half of central Georgia, but everyone's virtually feeling the same right now. So you can kind of see where this frontal boundary is still having its influence. So it did move off the coast as of Monday, later Monday into early Tuesday morning. So this section of the country directly north of us is actually one of the cooler portions of the country. You'll notice these areas that we're normally talking about in the 30s, the 40s, maybe even into the 20s are now actually maybe even above our temperatures. Yes, I see Kansas City up there sitting at 60 degrees this Wednesday as opposed to the 53 down here in Macon. We'll take a look at where these winds are coming from. Off the Gulf Coast up into Texas, and they are continuing all the way up into the Great Plains. So a lot more humid air and a lot warmer air is getting pushed into that portion of the country as opposed to this area where we still see that cooler air draping down from Canada pushing in, especially up to the northeast of the United States. I see a lot of dark blue up there. I see Washington, D.C. is sitting at 44 degrees, 39 up in Indianapolis. I do not want to see any temperatures lower than that. That's going to send a chill down my spine. Satellite and radar picture is all clear. Some clouds off the Atlantic coast of the states of Georgia and South Carolina. And taking a look at your surface map. So we do see some active weather, at least in the form of mainly light showers up to the northwest of us in Missouri, over into Illinois, southern Iowa. This is all attached to a warm front that is the leading edge of this low pressure center that is centered kind of in southeastern Nebraska. Well, this is going to be the next weather system that impacts us. We're going to see what we typically see, the low pressure center slide over to the east across the country, and then this kind of draping down cold front is going to continue to sag across the southeastern United States just below that low pressure center, and then that is going to continue to bring our next rain chance as we have a little bit of a bounce back in moisture heading into the end of the week. But not for today. It is just going to be a straight beautiful spring-like day, staying dry, a northeasterly breeze 5 to 15 miles per hour, and then 73 degrees for a high temperature. So we hit 70 yesterday, a little bit warmer today, not necessarily up to that average high of 76 just yet, but it is going to be a great day for any activities you have planned. And if you're looking for something to do, Mercer Baseball actually squaring off against an in-state opponent tonight at Ortho Georgia Park here in Macon. The Georgia Southern Eagles will be coming to town from Statesboro. First pitch at 6 p.m. Amazing weather in the low 70s, nice sunny skies as you do kick off a night at the ballpark. As we go into sunset, temperatures will be getting a little bit cooler, 65 by about the 8 p.m. hour, and then heading home, starting to get a tad bit cool. Still not bad whatsoever. 60 degrees. I think you can get away with a t-shirt and shorts at the ballpark tonight. So let's go through Future View, talk about maybe some changes that we have towards the end of the work week. So a few clouds here and there, mainly towards the south and the southeast here in central Georgia today. Nothing really worth notable. You might have seen a slim chance of a sprinkle, but that doesn't even look to come to fruition here in central Georgia. So I've refrained from a rain chance today, and I've refrained from a rain chance on Thursday. But we will start to see some clouds approaching from the north. That's going to be the best indication that our next weather maker is on the way. This is 5 p.m. on Thursday, still trending dry in the entire state of Georgia. But then once we head into the nighttime hours, that's where things start to get a little bit fuzzy. I'm going to drag it back here a little bit because I want to talk about how this system does progress as it makes its way in from the northwest. So a pretty good line of showers, more so thunderstorms, a lot of dark red enveloped within that as you take it back over into Birmingham and Alabama. Even seeing a little bit of a bow shape with this latest Future View run according to the graph. So indicating some pretty gusty winds are probably present within that leading edge of rain as it does approach. We go all the way into the midnight hour, so turning it into Friday. That's when this boundary, if you will, or this leading edge of rain does look to make its presence known in our far northwestern counties very first, the areas that typically see the rain with our frontal boundaries that we have seen driving our weather systems lately. So take a look at what continues to happen as we go hour by hour. 1 a.m. obviously seeing maybe some breaking, some disorganization with this line of rain, but not seeing any of those dark red colors anymore like we saw back up in Birmingham. So a good indication of some weakening with this. And then we go into 2 a.m. a little more widespread, but also a little bit more broken and disorganized in nature. So continuing the weakening trend. 3 a.m. pretty widespread, mainly of the variety of just light showers, maybe a little bit of a steadier rain, some pockets of heavier rain in those yellows and those orange colors. And then we go to 4 a.m. and 5 a.m. and just flash it all the way through there because it's still a little bit prominent the farther south and southeast that you go. Areas back to the north and the northwest are just dealing with some residual sprinkles. And then this is going to go all the way until 6, 7 a.m. 7 a.m. typically the time that many of you are probably waking up, going about your day, getting everything ready for the work day, getting your kids out the door to head to school. Well, it looks like most of the rain has exited already here in central Georgia. So many of you may not see this rain whatsoever. It's going to be an overnight into early morning rain. And then we'll flash forward it a little bit more. About 8 to 9 a.m. when we finally start to see the sunrise, you might see a little bit of an increase in possibly strength, rainfall rate associated with this. And that will continue as this system does make its way towards the Atlantic coast of the state, the Atlantic coast of South Carolina, especially up in North Carolina where you see some darker colors. But by the time that happens, it will be out of here in central Georgia. So we really see a good weakening trend with this line of rain as it pushes through when we go into these early morning hours on Friday. And that does make sense because this is passing through during the overnight hours when we're typically cooler, when a lot of our severe weather risks have been coming in. So we have been very grateful for it because they don't have as much to work with in terms of instability, in terms of surface heat, all those things that you need for severe weather to continue to get stronger and stronger. Temperatures are forecasted to be somewhere in the 50s overnight Thursday into Friday, so warmer than the last couple of mornings. However, it is not a lot to work with in terms of severe weather like we typically see during the warmer seasons of the month, where all of that heat and humidity can virtually sprout out showers and thunderstorms out of nowhere. So we take it all the way into 3 p.m. on Friday. And you'll notice that there are some blemishes. It's not going to be smooth sailing completely on Friday. That rain won't just move out in the early morning hours and then officially get out of here. We'd look to have some wraparound circulation and the chance for some scattered light showers, some scattered sprinkles. I still think it's nothing that is worth canceling any outdoor plans that you may have over because we continue to play it as we head into the evening hours on Friday. And all that activity really does fizzle out. We're left with a couple scattered clouds, maybe a few sprinkles here and there. Overall, if you do run into any of these rain showers for your Friday evening and Friday night plans, all you're going to need is to maybe just step inside for a little bit and that shower will be gone in a matter of minutes. So this goes all the way until we get into 3 a.m. on Saturday, continuing that clearing trend and continuing to see nice clear skies hopefully as we wake up on Saturday morning. So I will show you this. This did just get updated as of this morning, so I finally did give it a look. And this is the day 3 storm outlook. So I apologize, that's not the right one that I did want to show you. It is the day 2 outlook that I wanted to show you. We'll drag that in here, and then we will play this graphic. So you'll see all of these areas right here, a level 1 and a level 2 risk. Areas in the level 2 include Nashville, Huntsville, down to Birmingham, northern Mississippi, western Tennessee, parts of Arkansas and Missouri. I know they're about tired of this active weather stretch that they've had recently. But if we zoom it in here to central Georgia, you will see that some of our northwestern counties are included in a level 1. So going off what I just showed you on Future View, we obviously see a weakening trend with this system as it moves through during a cooler portion of the day. However, these northwestern areas are going to be the first to start to see some of that rain. So this is kind of just to cover the bases, I do believe, by the SPC, just to make sure that, okay, if we don't see as much of a weakening trend, we could see some pockets of an isolated thunderstorm or two. I'm still not buying any severe threat personally here in central Georgia, but if it is going to be anywhere, it's going to be in those areas that are the first to see the rain. Areas farther down south and southeast in central Georgia, they're going to see more of a weakening trend as it does continue to push through the area. So that's where it does stand right now. If you do see any of these stronger pockets of rain and stronger maybe thunderstorms per se. The main threats that we're looking at are some gusty winds on occasion. You could even maybe see a little bit of hail, but luckily many of you will already be inside fast asleep. You may go away into your night's sleep and not hear anything whatsoever. It's something we'll continue to monitor, but once again, personally not really buying it. It's something that we always are going to remain diligent with and keep you updated with as we go throughout the next couple of days. So let's talk the afternoon highs. Going to continue with this warming trend all the way into Thursday. 77 for a high on Thursday. A little bit cooler, pretty similar day on Friday, except we will have some rain in the picture, but still a high of 74 as we get clearing in the afternoon. And then after that boundary moves through, you'll notice we drop the temperatures down once again. So this is another frontal boundary. It will be ushering in some cooler and drier air once again. So that's going to drop our high temperatures on Saturday to somewhere in the mid 60s. And then after that, we will start the warming trend. I think Saturday night's probably going to be the coolest that we get. And then after that, we'll get a little bit warmer each and every day, a high back at 73 degrees for your Sunday. And then your morning lows, 38, 46, and then 52. So a warming trend with the morning lows, just like what we're seeing with the high temperatures. And then as we go past the passage of this boundary, 44 and 41 as we kick off your Saturday and Sunday mornings. So Thursday morning, Saturday morning, and Sunday morning are definitely going to be the mornings that you want to dress a little bit warm. Friday going to be the more pleasant of the bunch. However, you may still have some rain in the picture as you're heading out the door. But if you're heading out the door at 6 to 7 a.m., I do believe that it's mainly going to be of the light shower, maybe a steady shower variety. So long-range future view, what's past all of that? I'm not sure if I have a pause point on here. No, I do have a pause point. I just went all the way into Tuesday afternoon because we have nothing to talk about in terms of weather systems Saturday, Sunday, or Monday, in fact. So a stretch of 3 almost completely clear days. And then I did pause it here because we can see a little bit of shape with this. It's really, really hard to see, I understand. All you see are some scattered green dots here and there, but you will see that there is some active weather up to the northeast behind the banner and trying to see a bit of a frontal take shape as we go into the south and the southeast. However, nothing looks organized whatsoever. The European is a little bit more organized, but it's not following the same timing as the GFS model in green. So we play it through Tuesday afternoon all the way into Wednesday at 4 p.m., which is as long as our long-range models do go, and it doesn't look like anything impressive in the way of rain whatsoever. So if that frontal boundary is to try to pass as we go into next week, the consensus is it's not going to have a lot to work with in terms of moisture or anything that you could have that would start to sprout a continuous line of showers and storms. So we're not really worrying about that right now. We'll continue to see how these models resolve it as we go throughout the next couple of days as well. Right now, it's looking like we might have a dry stretch for at least 5 to 7 days after we get through Friday's rain chance. So your 7-day forecast, here's where we'll end it. Still going up the roller coaster today and tomorrow, and then we start to dip down after Friday morning. Friday morning is going to be the warmest of the next couple of mornings. That's 74 for a high temperature, so not quite the upper 70s. But after that rain chance, we will go down to the 40s once again to kick off your Saturday morning and your Sunday morning. 66 for a high on Saturday, 73 for a high on Sunday. And then we're already back to the 80s by the time we get to next Monday. 60s, 70s, and 80s all 3 days in a row right there. And then Tuesday looks to be a pretty similar forecast to your Monday, a little bit on the warmer side with some lows starting out in the 50s. And I put a 10% chance on there for rain because I thought the models would resolve it a little bit better, but the consensus is we're probably going to remain dry Saturday all the way through at least next Wednesday, which is where our long-range models do stop, but still not seeing much in the way of rain whatsoever. So we got plenty of rain on Monday. That is the good thing. We got our fill of it, even dating back to Sunday. So the dry stretch is very well warranted. We're keeping our eyes on Friday morning right now, more so the overnight Thursday into very early Friday morning, even before you wake up. So we'll continue to see what the SPC is saying with that outlook. I do imagine it's going to continue to get trimmed back. Other than that, you may hear a rumble of thunder or two, mainly just going to deal with some showers overnight, so you may wake out or walk out the door to a couple of water droplets on your windshield. But it's an exciting week here in Central Georgia, and this 7-day forecast very reflective of the background you see here. Nice and blue skies at the Masters, and that will be kicking off tomorrow, the first round of the Masters Par 3 contest today. It's looking to be a great weekend to get out with family and enjoy watching the greatest event in Georgia. So thank you for tuning in. That's your Wednesday in-depth forecast. We'll be back here tomorrow with another look at what's ahead, and then I'll be producing a segment for you as well, and that will air all weekend long. Your one-stop shop for what's ahead, short-term, long-term, and even past your 7-day forecast. Thanks for tuning in, and have a wonderful Wednesday.